What if I told you that most people quit right before their life changes? Welcome to our explainer on surviving the ultimate test of endurance. We're talking about day 36, 100 days to $500,000. Seriously, just imagine being locked inside a blindingly white, completely claustrophobic cube for 100 days. You have absolutely no idea what time it is, you're eating the exact same canned food day in and day out, and your only company is a total stranger. The goal? Survive for 100 days to win a fortune. But here's the catch. If one of you leaves, you both get absolutely nothing. We see this play out in extreme survival challenges, and honestly, we see it in business and life all the time. The dark reality is that in any massive pursuit, there's this massive wall you hit just before you reach success. It's that brutal moment when the initial excitement has completely faded away, the reward feels literally impossible to reach, and your sanity starts to fray. 100 days, $500,000. I want you to just take a second and think about the sheer weight of that prize money. It's life-changing, right? But then think about the suffocating reality of what it actually demands. Out in the real world, the earth keeps spinning. People are hanging out on weekends, scrolling social media, and living comfortably. But inside the pursuit of this prize, time just completely stops. If we track their psychological descent, it looks a bit like this. On day 1, contestants Bailey and Susie are basically just strangers in a box, and they instantly make the rookie mistake of sleeping for only 2 hours, kicking off their second day at 2:37 a.m. Not great. By day 10, they face their first major psychological temptation. But honestly, it's the middle of this timeline, specifically right around day 36, where the true test really begins. And from there, it's a slow spiral into total, utter exhaustion by day 99. Now, it's fascinating because we can actually draw a direct parallel here between physical and digital confinement. While Bailey and Susie were losing their minds in a physical white cube with blinding lights and canned chicken, creator Ryan Trahan was actually running his own experiment. He spent 100 days trapped in a VR metaverse. Now, sure, he was physically safe in his room, but he was completely digitally isolated, relying on a virtual headset that cost more than his dog. And despite the totally different environments, both of these experiments induced this incredible, suffocating existential dread. Which brings us to a very specific number. Day 36. This represents the absolute darkest point in any long-term pursuit. Day 36 was one of those days where there are no big results, no viral videos, no huge money. Just doubt. The kind of doubt that makes you question absolutely everything. For 36 days, you're chasing the same goal, in this case, 500 grand. And honestly, some days it just feels impossible. While everyone else is out having fun, you're still working, still learning, still betting on yourself. And the scary part is, nobody knows if it will actually work. Not your friends, not your family, not even you. Day 36 is the wall. Right on cue, by day 36 in the metaverse, Ryan Trahan's reality completely fractured. Earlier on, he'd actually made this virtual best friend named Clay, but then Clay's headset died, completely severing their connection. So now, Ryan is utterly isolated in a digital void, basically surviving on a strict diet of caffeine and fast food. He even confessed, quote, "We have no friends online whatsoever. I'm barely taking care of myself. I'm not having fun anymore. The novelty was completely dead. Only the grind was left." And this digital depression, it perfectly mirrors the physical madness experienced by Bailey and Susie. By their own version of the day 36 wall, the symptoms of extreme isolation were just undeniable. The lights in that cube were so intense they had to craft shields just to protect their burning eyes. The sleep deprivation was absolute torture. They were so incredibly desperate for any kind of stimulation that Bailey ripped up their journal paper just to craft a makeshift deck of playing cards. They literally argued with themselves over a spoon. At one point, Bailey even lost it so much he was violently whipping canned pork at the walls just to feel something, anything. So what does this all mean for us? Well, we can actually bridge these extreme survival challenges directly to the real world of wealth building. If we look at entrepreneur Mark Tilbury's framework, he breaks success down into 3 clear steps: consume, apply, and educate. Day 36 in these challenges is the exact equivalent of step 2, the apply stage. It is the messy, lonely middle. It's that brutal period where you just have to put in the grueling hours, test what you've learned, and give yourself permission to fail over and over again with absolutely no visible reward in sight. You are completely isolated in your effort. And right in the middle of this apply phase, the universe, or, in this case, Mr. Beast, will test your resolve through the absolute psychological warfare of delayed gratification. Every 10 days, the doors would open to offer the contestants comforts that would just eat away at their ultimate prize pool. On day 10, a private chef for $50,000? Nope, they rejected it. Day 20, smart beds and a switch to finally turn off those blinding lights for another 50 grand? Rejected. But by day 50, the isolation was so crushing, they actually gladly handed over $20,000 just to see their families for a few minutes. Then came day 60, bringing a completely tension-filled question. Would you pay $50,000 just to open a mystery box? They agonized over this for an hour. Susie had actually mentioned earlier that the only thing she might say yes to was a Tesla. But deciding to play it safe and terrified it was just a trick to drain their prize pool, they looked at the host and said no. But here's the kicker, guys. This wasn't a trick. It was a devastating lesson in missed opportunities. Because when Mr. Beast opened the box anyway, it revealed their 50 grand in cash right back to them, sitting directly next to the keys for 2 brand new Teslas. Because they said no, they got absolutely nothing. The weight of that sickening, crushing regret instantly infected the room. I mean, Susie literally whined about the lost dream car for 9 days straight. Bailey felt physically sick to his stomach, saying the regret made the space feel like actual purgatory. And honestly, this perfectly mirrors the harsh failures and missed opportunities we have to survive in our own long-term pursuits in the real world. Sometimes, playing it safe is actually the most painful choice of all. By day 70, the psychological pressure finally broke them. Mr. Beast came back and offered a massive bundle. Smart beds, a coffee machine, movies, spices, and a new mystery box. But there was a catch. It was a blind auction. If they bid even 1 penny lower than his secret number, they got nothing. Desperate to literally buy back their sanity, they threw down a massive, almost absurd bid of $100,101. They overpaid by 30 grand, but they won the bundle. And funny enough, that mystery box, it contained 2 tiny toy Teslas. Now, this frantic purchase actually perfectly illustrates Mark Tilbury's concept of diminishing returns. Think of that huge $100,000 bid as the ultimate investment in oneself. In the early days of any project, you put in high effort for low reward. Then you hit the messy middle, that day 36 territory, where you are absolutely exhausted with 0 visible results, just like they were in that blinding white room. But occasionally, you just have to invest heavily in your own tools, your own sanity, and your own skills. That massive investment they made on day 70, it gave them the endurance they needed to reach the breakthrough phase, where eventually that foundational effort yields a massive, massive payoff. Which brings us to the ultimate climax on day 100. They did it. They survived. The doors finally opened. But true success hinged on one final, absolutely brutal psychological test of trust versus greed. The classic split or steal. They could choose split and walk away with $180,000 each. Or they could choose steal to try and take the other person's money. But if they both got greedy and hit steal, they would walk out of that cube with absolutely nothing. The silence of this final dilemma is just terrifying. Picture the scene. Susie is wearing earplugs and noise-canceling headphones. She cannot hear a single word Bailey is saying. Meanwhile, Bailey is just staring at the buttons, realizing that if he trusts her and she steals, he is completely ruined. He even mutters to himself, if we both hit steal, we spent 100 days in that hellhole for absolutely nothing. Think about that. A life-changing fortune is just hanging by a thread, completely dependent on the unspoken bond they formed in their darkest hours. Well, both contestants pressed split. They walked out together victorious. They survived because they endured the trough of sorrow. They pushed past that incredibly isolated apply phase, they overcame extreme self-doubt, and when it came right down to the wire, they bet on themselves and the trust they built in the trenches. And guys, this is the ultimate lesson for us. When doubt creeps in, you have to remember, the people who win aren't always the smartest. They are simply the ones who stay in the game the longest. So instead of quitting, you open your laptop one more time, you upload one more video, you learn one more lesson, and you take one more step forward. Because success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the last person standing. So I'll leave you with this. Will you be that person when your day 36 arrives? Push through the doubt. Stay in the game. Because tomorrow, everything starts to change.